Yeah, yeah.
Let's just talk about it. No pressure, just dialogue. On the Tisa Batey Show. Let's just talk about it. No pressure, just dialogue. On the Tisa Batey Show. Let's just talk about it.
What's up, sweet baby? What's going on, everybody?
Hey.
Welcome. It's your girl. I'm back. Welcome to the Tisa Batey Show. Another good session, another good episode of the Tisa Batey Show. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited about this podcast today. So we're going to ask that everybody just sort of take this time before we get started and go ahead and share this with everybody. I'm going to go ahead and put mine on. I want to make sure that my privacy settings are right. Boom. There we go. So you can share it from my page. You can share it, whatever. You can just share it. Just share with everybody. We're really excited about this podcast today. Me and DJ Grady Baby. You all know him. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. Yeah. It's the infamous sidekick, my DJ Grady Baby. Hey, DJ.
Hey, everybody. Hey, how you doing, love?
So glad to
I want to just sing your song. I love your song, Tisa. I love it.
Let's just talk about it.
Yes.
No pressure, just
dialogue on the Tisa Batey Show.
Let's just talk about it.
I love it.
Vocals, yours truly.
Yes.
And musical productions, Bach or Seth Warren. He's a bad boy. He is a bad boy. So. Yeah, I'm glad you like the song, DJ.
I love it.
Well, yeah.
I love it. So, how's your week? How's your week been going?
My week has been productive.
Yes.
It's been very productive, a little hectic, but productive. And you always feel better when you're able to accomplish the 1,000,001 tasks that are on your to-do list. So my week has been productive.
Great.
How has your week been?
Educational. I don't say that. Educational, yeah.
Well, we're going to get educated even more today on the
podcast.
I am so excited to have with us today. And again, like I say, guys, go ahead and share this with everybody would be interested or benefit from this. We are going to talk to published author, Walter Martin. Walter Martin. He is a Knoxville, Tennessee native. And he is a newly published author, and we're really excited to have him on the show with us today. The name of his book is entitled The Devil's Deceit. And this is, if I'm not mistaken, your personal memoirs, correct?
Close. A lot of it I went through, the prison things, the book writing ambitions, the spiritual struggles, family issues and things of that nature. I put a lot of it into it. I felt when I was reading and studying how to write books, it said keep it as close to you as you could and make it more to reality, because people can understand that, rather than going to space and putting them out here and, talk about astrology and all that kind of crazy stuff. We kept it right here on Earth, and they could really see and relate to all the characters in the book, drug addictions and things of that nature. So I'd say it's about 60-70% me. And when I was in prison, I would just talk to a lot of guys and get their take on things. And I would add little bits of that into the book as well to give it its flavor,
Okay, so let's talk about that. You've mentioned the prison. Let's talk about first, what landed you in prison. And then I want you to tell me, give me a brief overview of what the book is actually about without spilling all the business? Because we want people to buy it.
What landed me in prison was when I was 18. I was a fresh out graduate. So I wasn't doing too good. And life was just catching up to me, you know, the pressure of, you know, fresh 18-year-old getting a job or go to college, do this and that. So a friend and I, we just started playing John Dillinger around Knoxville and just started robbing little convenience stores and little hotels and pizza people. And I mean, we did all kind of stuff when we were young, man. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. It's just what we did when we were kids. Foolish things, because that ended up getting us in trouble. So my dad was a state trooper and I met him when I was 18. So we were trying to, you know, fix our relationship and he helped me get out. But being foolish as I was, I had already accumulated those felonies and I pled out to probation. So with pleading out to probation, they just had it to where I could get out, I'd wear these felonies, and I ended up catching another gun charge. And that got me 15-year sentence in federal prison.
Wow.
So on that 15, you're going to do about 13 and some change on that. So I had to prepare myself to get ready for a long ride up the road, and they would ship you around the country and all kind of stuff. So, you know, that's how we got there.
Wow. Wow. And so it was while you were in prison that you had the epiphany to write a book, correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what the book is about without spilling, like I said, all of the juicy details.
The book is similar to me. I've got the synopsis here. It says, when aspiring author Gabriel Cade is released from federal prison, similar situation. His life is thrown into financial struggle, similar situation. And the challenge of raising a teenage daughter he barely knows. Now, I don't have a daughter, so that was one of those things I just added into it, you know? So the guy comes home, he's got ambitions to be a writer. Things just aren't going good for him. He's a good Christian man. He's walking the walk, you know, does things at the church, helps do the donations, all that. He's praying, staying steadfast in his faith. But then the devil comes to him and says, you know, you've been waiting a long time trying to get this done and nothing's happening for you. So why don't you come over here with me and I'll give you everything you want. And so they start going back and forth and the devil lets him know. He's like, you know, all this stuff you heard about me, everything that you've read about me in the Bible, just forget about that. It's all a lie. It's all speculation. Nobody knows me. Nobody's seen me. But the way he tricks him the most is the pleasure. He's like, you know, everything that you got from me, you never tell me thankful for. Your sexual pleasures, your drug pleasures, all of these pleasures that go against God, you never thank me for those. It's about time that you show some gratitude, you know. I mean, he's like, he's tricking him and finessing him, saying God doesn't have his hand in all the blessings, which is one of those things that's, you know, it's a loose discussion of who's really blessing who and who's pulling who to what side or whatnot. So this is a real spiritual struggle book. And my character desires something so bad that when he's put into a situation that's life or death and the devil can change that for him, he decides that God has left him high and dry, and he decides to side with the devil. But when he gets with the devil, he's going to soon realize that there's some trickery going on, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. 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 So is it safe to say that those are things that as well that you went through, that you experienced, that spiritual warfare?
Oh, absolutely. I went to all the Christian services. I done went to Muslim services. I'm trying to find my path. You know, I'm trying to, you know, I loved going to those Nation of Islam services, not even just because of, you know, the godly talk. I love to hear them uplift Black people with Black voices. I mean, I loved every single Friday at 1:30, I'm going to listen to Farrakhan speak. Some people don't like Farrakhan. I'm listening to Farrakhan on the sense of, he's making me feel like as a Black man, I can be stronger and do anything I want to do, you know? Whereas before I started reading about Farrakhan, people was like, oh, he's a racist, he's this and that. It takes in life to experience it yourself. When I started reading the books about Farrakhan, he gave me strength. When I started reading the Bible for myself, it gave me strength. I had to take it for my own opinion in my own way. So therefore, I pretty much formed my own relationship with God right then and there. In 2012, I was in my cell, and I had a real Christian like man in my cell. We were real cool, and I'd pick his brain all the time when I first started this book. And I prayed one night when I felt that I had lost my faith completely. I wasn't shaving. I wasn't cutting my hair. I mean, I was showering and things, of course. But I rolled over when I remember this. I rolled over and prayed. I said, God, you know, we need a better understanding. You know, I'm losing faith in you, which I think that might be all in my head. So what it needs to do, I need to get myself together. So I'll make a deal with you. And people might think I'm crazy when I say this. I think back on this. If you'll give me everything that I want, I'll make sure that I'll do good by people. And in that moment, I felt like he's not going to let you out of prison because you still got down payments on life to do with God. I sell cars. So it's like this. You got a down payment. We'll give you whatever you want. God is the same way. You want this, you want that, but I know your credit score is horrible. You murder people, you rob people, you do this. I don't even want you to clean all that up. I just want you to do a few good deeds. And most people won't even do that. So now it's my duty to get out here and put my down payments in. You know, I do for people. Look out, try to be as good as I can to people. Sometimes that blows up in my face and that's fine. You just got to keep pushing. But the down payments of life. So when I prayed to him that night, something in me said, it's done. If it's written, let it be done. But you got to put the work into your faith.
Gotta put the work.
Without works is dead, you know? So that's what that night I prayed. I never turned back. That was 8 years ago.
Wow.
Wow. I like the fact that he said you talk to God. Hey God, we got to work something out. And that's how I talk to God. I just talk to God just like he's my brother. You know, friend. I don't have that structural prayer that everybody lead into. You know, I know the Lord's Prayer, but they say that's how you're supposed to pray the Lord's Prayer. But God just wants you to talk to him. Just talk to him like me and you. I'm like, hey God, you see that? You got it right. All right, cool.
That's the problem with people. They're so scared of God. I'm not scared of God. That's my main man. He's here to give me anything I ask for. You know, my parents didn't create me. He did. You know, life was already in my mother. Life was already in my father. It came together and created me. We don't create anything. We discover only everything that God has left here for us. So me writing this book, this could have been written 1,000 years ago. Okay. If somebody would just have thought to do it. The car could have been made 1,000 years ago if somebody would have thought to do it. So God, we are discoverers of it. And that's why we feel so good when we accomplish something. We feel like we've stepped closer to God. We've discovered what you left here for us to find, you know? So I found writing. And finding writing started with reading. And I didn't do enough reading when I was young. So I got into it. Felt I could do it. It was a challenge more than anything. I wanted to put a smile on people's face and entertain them. But also it was a challenge to say, man, what can you do with yourself different than robbing and not graduating and doing this and doing that? What can you do good with yourself? So I in 2005, when I got locked up, I started writing. In 2012 is about when I lost my faith in everything. I actually threw my books, my handwritten books away. And my cellmate walked down to the trash can. This is a true story. He walked down to the trash can and brought him back to the cell and said, don't ever give up on your dream. You're going to make it. You just got to hold on. You're going to get home. And you're going to prove everybody wrong about you. Just hold on. And I've been working on this book ever since. And we published it. We're going to make a movie. We're going to do everything we said we were going to do.
I think that's absolutely wonderful. And I was listening to some of the things all the things that you were saying. And I think that it's really, really important for people to really know and understand, first and foremost, who God is. And, you know, he's my dad. He's my father. I have a reverential fear of him and what he is capable of doing, because anything or anybody with that much power, you have to reverentially, fear them. But it's a respect. That fear is in the shape of a respect for him. I would never want to do anything to dishonor him. And let's just face it, as human beings, we do that every single solitary day. We come short. So I understand exactly what you're saying when you say that. Tell me a little bit, if you don't mind, about the process. Take me through the process of writing this book. What different emotions did you experience? Was it difficult for you to write this book? Let's talk about that for just a second.
It's very challenging because you had to add so many elements. Like, I read a book in 2008 called Deceit, about law of attraction.
Rhonda Byrne, yeah.
Rhonda Byrne, yeah. And it's funny how that happens. It's real because started having things fall in my lap every single day for this book. I'd be walking around reading a magazine and boom, there's something I could add. I'd be talking to somebody. I'm like, hold on, let me go write that down real quick. I'd have notes. I'd have thousands of notes on my desk and hanging on my wall in prison just to make this thing right. So, I had to go back and look at things like when the devil says, hey, man, me and God ain't so bad. I can go back to heaven anytime I want. And the character's like, there's not that. You can't do that. He's like, well, wait a minute. You didn't see me go talk to him about Job in heaven? You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, okay. So wait a minute. Maybe I can go back. And he's like, I'm not a blasphemer because I, above anybody, knows that God is real. We just don't get along. And I moved out. He said, I was never thrown from heaven. I just left. He says, I won't burn. So you got to go through this process. You got to go to that dark place and say, what would the devil say? I didn't want to make, no disrespect, a Hallmark movie. I wanted to make a dark faith-based movie that touches on things like racism, drugs, sex. It talks about these things. I mean, these are real things that people need to discuss and see where the pleasures and stuff, and see how you can get entangled in this web of lies. The process was forever. I mean, I hope that there's no process this long with any other book I ever write.
Sure.
Ever.
Sure. Yeah. And I can sort of speak to that. Being a published author myself, I tell people that I probably could have written the book that I wrote in 30 days, maybe, because it was my life. Who better to tell my story than me? But I struggled so much with my past experiences, and it was very painful to have to relive a lot of those past experiences. So there were many, many times when I walked away from it and I put it down. It was an assignment that God gave me. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. I was a journalism major, but I didn't want to write a book. I didn't, at least not about myself. I didn't want people to know my business. But when you have an assignment, when there's a call on your life, it's almost like you can't get any rest until it's done. So I walked away from the book, and it took me, a year and a half, almost 2 years to actually complete the book. But it was what had to be written. It was what had to be done. So let me ask you this, Walter, where do you see this book going? What are some of the things that you're working on as a result of having written this book?
Well, we sold a nice amount of copies. Nowhere where I want to be in the millions or anything like that. But I do believe that this book has a lot of potential. We're going straight into the production of a movie.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. And how fortunate is that? Let's talk about that.
The goal was always to make a movie from the beginning. It was like, hey, let's make movies. I had to figure out what I wanted to do and really ask myself if it could be done. And I was like, well, I think I can break into this. There's ways. Then I saw this guy that I'd never heard of before, dressed as an old lady with a gun in his hand. And I was like, who in the hell is that?
That would be Tyler Medea.
That's
Medea. Hello.
Yeah, and my mom was like, oh, I love him. I love Medea. I was like, well, who is this guy? I've been locked up. I'm not really for sure. So I saw this guy and I read his story and I was like, whoa, okay, this guy's for real. And I just started following him. Tyler Perry, I started following him, and like I might be able to hang with dude if I put this pen down on this paper right. I'm like, if he can come from being homeless, I can come from being in prison.
Wow.
The movie thing pretty much fell in my lap. I got the book published, and then I just said, hey, we're going to do a movie. And as soon as I said that, actors and actresses started getting in touch with me. And I got in touch with this lady named Jill Martin, and she ended up saying, hey, I got a buddy who can make your movie. He can handle it. And he's got a little experience. I was like, okay, we'll meet. We met up. I liked Jeff from the beginning because he was extremely humble, and he didn't bring up the fact that he was in a Tyler Perry movie. So that was very humbling that this guy didn't show up and try to throw all that out there and make it seem like he was, the magnificent one. He kept it humble, and I had to find that for myself because I background check people. So I looked it up and I was like, why is his name connecting to Medea's witness protection? So I'm like, oh, he's in the movie. I was like, man, you didn't tell me that. He's like, oh yeah, I'm in the movie, So he's done like a lot of things, and he's fell in my lap as a mentor. He's everywhere I go. I mean, he does all the auditioning with me, comes to some of these events with me, book signings with me. I mean, he's right there. So His daughter-in-law is going to direct it. She's already got the screenplay. We're rolling. I mean, all it is, I got a few meetings. I got a few meetings tomorrow. Kia's looking to jump in with us for product placement. We're trying to just get business so we can show your product in the movie. It's pretty much a go. It's pretty much a go.
Good deal.
Yeah, that's great right there. See, God placed a coach, mentor / coach along with you to show you as you grow, because the thing about it, you stay consistent and persistent with your dreams and goals and stuff, and you never gave up on it. And I know there's been times where you wanted to put it down and be like, man, but yeah, God reward you.
Man, I used to be, I was in the hole in prison for 6 months. I didn't come out of my cell maybe 3 times. So I did 24 hours a day for about 6 months. And I'd wait till my cellie go to bed at night, and I'd sit up there under the light and work on my book. I had it all printed off and stuff. I was like, well, I might as well do something. So I had a car wreck.
What did you do to get in the hole? I mean, let's just talk about that. I want to know about that. What were you doing in there? Come on now, Walter.
Fighting. Lots of fighting.
Yeah.
There's lots of, contrary to people's popular belief, prison can get violent every now and then.
Wow, really?
Yeah, every now and then, it's mostly rumors, but every now and then people fight,
Yeah, because you locked up, got all that testosterone, you got to state your claim, all that. But the one thing I learned about prison, prison and people in prison, their pen game is real strong. Them pen pals, I want to learn. I want to know how they get them ladies to put their money on the book. That's all I want to know.
I was never that guy. I was never, listen, when I was never that guy. I always had a handful of people that stay. I felt like integrity was number one. Okay. I'm not about to just, using people ain't gonna get you nowhere. I mean, misusing them. Use everybody around you. Don't misuse them. Okay. So if I'm lying to people, just this and that, that blessing I'm looking for with these books ain't coming.
True.
Wow.
I had a car wreck last year and almost died. Admittedly, I had had way too many drinks. Admittedly, I did hit that car. Admittedly, I did run into that wall. My car was destroyed. Okay. Here's the thing though. I stood 1 foot away from that officer, and he simply said, do you have insurance? And the first paper I saw, I'm talking about the car was destroyed, radio and everything on the floor, papers flung everywhere. First paper I saw was insurance. I gave it back to him. He said, do you have a ride? And I looked over the overpass at the city, and I heard this voice, this internal voice said, everything here that you see is yours. If I was you, I'd quit messing up. This is yours. You asked for it. I gave it to you. You had faith. I gave it to you. What more do I have to do to get you to realize that you're here? Stop playing around and make it happen. So the book came out.
That was your aha moment.
That was a real aha moment. If you saw that car, I walked away with a few bruises. I should have died in that car. I should literally be 1 year and a few months dead. But I'm still kicking. So it's like, okay, you pretty much put a hedge around me while I was in prison. I only had a few fights, but I never got stabbed. I never had to stab anybody. I only had a few little issues, and I pretty much made it through smooth. I feel like I've been guided, positive energy, God, whatever they want to call it. There's so many different meanings out here in the world. I know what I feel.
And what do you feel? And what is it that you feel?
I feel like I'm truly connected to the Creator. I feel like I found myself in Him. I feel like anything you want to do, if you truly believe, faith without works is dead. I'm tired of people praying for things and just sitting around waiting on it. Hear people all the time saying what you can't do in Knoxville, Tennessee. I have not been home but 3 years. 3 years in February that's when I came home. So there's excuses all around me, and I refuse to be an excuse maker. So that's not the route we're going to take. I feel like when I got to God and I had that come to God moment that night, we were talking. He said, okay, I think you're starting to get me, because sometimes, when you have to cut people off, it may seem harsh. It may seem like the devil's work, but that's God using his outside voice to you saying, cut them off. They are a deterrent to you. If you don't cut them off, I can do it for you. You don't really want him to start stepping in and doing these things because it's a little uglier. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to take.
You have to definitely make sure that when you pray for certain things, what I have discovered is you really have to make sure that you are ready for the things that you pray for. Because I can remember a point in time in my life where I prayed for God to remove, anybody from my life who didn't have my best interest at heart, anybody who, wasn't what they appeared to be in front of me. I prayed that God remove them. And when he started doing that, it was very painful. Some of the people were people that I expected to be in my life forever. And so I went through personal struggles trying to figure out how to maneuver and live my life without them when they had been such a significant part of my life before. So, yeah, we got to make sure that, when we pray for things that, that you're ready for what you pray for.
Yeah.
When it comes to God, I just feel like, people are, it's funny. I used to think about when we used to pray before football games, you don't think the other team's doing that too?
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you win, you're praising God for that win. It's like, he don't care if you win a football game, man. I feel like your two purposes in this world are to love and procreate. Love fulfills the law. It says it right there in Romans, love fulfills the law. So if you have love, you don't have hate. You don't have people robbing your house. You don't have people trying to hit on your girlfriend. You don't have none of that. You have love, agape love by action. You know what I mean? And procreation, obviously we have to remain here on earth, be fruitful and multiply. So if you're a great athlete, I don't really feel like that's God making you a great athlete. Your dad's tall, your mom's tall. I would think you're probably going to be tall, maybe could dunk a basketball. If you put some work behind that, you may go to the NBA, but God did not take you anywhere. You have to put some work in. Faith without works is clearly dead. I go straight from the Bible. When people try to twist it, you cannot twist truth.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So what you're saying, and we're certainly not going to get into a situation where we're debating our own beliefs. I think that, to thine own self be true, and everybody has a right to believe the way they believe. So what you're saying is you don't necessarily believe that God equips us with different talents and abilities, because the Word of God does speak about him giving certain talents to certain people.
It's called gifts.
And so, so when you say that God didn't take you anywhere, I guess I'm just trying to get clarity on that.
It's all about faith without works. I clearly say this 9 times. I say this all the time. You can sit around and pray to God all you want. I don't think nothing's going to change until you get up and do something and meet him in the middle. When you say that God gave you this, God gave you that. Okay, so we're going to take the bad too. You're going to take the high blood pressure and the diabetes and all that. It's scientific that it got passed on to you. We, the children, suffer the sins of the parents. The Bible says this.
The word does say that, yes.
These things have been passed down to us. All the deeds that 10,000 years ago worth of family did, we're suffering from that, okay? DNA swapping, all these things, people running around having sex with each other. It will catch up to you. People thinking that, it didn't do nothing today. It'll get you, so I think that people like LeBron James, there's a lot of people like LeBron James in the world. There's a lot of people like me in the world, but I'm the one putting the pen to the paper. I have a lot of people that say they want to do this and do that around me. I don't see them doing anything to get it done. God will not bless you sitting around on your butt waiting on him. I don't know why people feel that they can just do that in life, not work and just benefit from it, pray to God and not do anything and benefit from it. I'm trying to benefit by action.
Okay, so, and I hear clearly what you're saying. I guess my position is I am not equipped, nor am I worthy of putting God in a box and saying what he will and will not do, what he can and cannot do. He's much bigger than that to me. And what I do know is that he can do whatever he wants to do for whomever he wants to do it, whenever he chooses to do it. But I still do understand what you're saying as far as faith without works is dead.
My mother would do anything for me. If I go shoot somebody in the face, she's not going to bail me out of jail. There's certain limitations. God can do anything he chooses to do.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. Do you have any regrets when you look over your life and you look at the decisions that you made? Do you have any regrets, or do you look at everything that's happened as a stepping stone and something that has really catapulted you to this point that you're at today?
Yes. I look at it as a stepping stone. And that's why I said what I said previously about God. God wants you to figure out your life. Do I have to hold your hand and walk you through this? Because if that's the case, this game, it's pointless. I put you here so you can figure things out. You're going to have some trials. You're going to have some tribulations. You're being tested. Otherwise, it wouldn't be no need of the opposition. You're being tested. It's not for God to grab you by the hand and save your time. You have been equipped with everything that you need. It's on you to discover it within yourself. If you're tall and strong and you never do anything with your talent, that is not on God. That is on you.
Yeah.
I saw that in prison for 13 and a half years. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And they go straight to the TV and sit down and do nothing, this and that. I get looked at. I'm the one that looks crazy because I'm always writing, always picking brains and things. You know, I really wanted this. That's why it is working. That is that. I mean, that's just my experience. I can't preach to anybody their beliefs. I would never do that. My thing is, I'm just giving my personal experience, no different than the prophets did. You know, I mean, one thing everybody in the Bible has in common is they're all dead. We are all men and women. So we have opinions, we have feelings, we have emotions that we're overcome with, and psychologically, they take us places. You know, if you fall in love, you know that feeling. So that's what you're looking for. You feel that that's the only way love should feel. So when you're doing things with God and you, boom, have a eureka moment, you're like, wow, I think he was talking to me. So you start going that way. And if you're following in a righteous path that makes you better, I don't care what the religion is. I don't care what the so-called God is. You're trying to be a good person. I can work with that. You know, we're not going to always agree politically, religiously, and that's fine. I can agree with that.
Okay, so let me ask you this again. So when you look back over your life, do you have regrets or no?
Absolutely not one regret, because it takes you, the person you were builds the person you are.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this. What are you hoping to accomplish overall? I mean, it goes beyond, I'm sure, just making a movie and writing a book. What do you hope to accomplish through people reading this book? What is the ultimate goal?
I want people to ask questions about the things they've been taught. You know, I mean, some of these things, I've sat down with a few preachers who have read my book and they said, young man, you're on point. I mean, there's a lot of things that have been confused, a lot of things that people have taken and run with to use for power. You know, it's no secret that we have dirty preachers or dirty people out here. And it's no secret we have really good ones out here. You got bad teachers, good work. I mean, it's all over the place. The devil works everywhere, you know? So I want people to realize that, hey, he can come and these are his many ways. Okay. You got sexual pleasure, drug pleasure. And I try not to judge people when they're hooked on drugs, because some people, they won't put the extra burger down. They won't put this down. They won't quit drinking. And you have the nerve to talk about somebody who's hooked on a demon, a real demon, which is heroin, meth, all these are demons. You know, when you look back in the Bible and you start seeing these demon possessed people, I wonder if it was really like demons or were they like the people we see today? Because when I drive downtown and look under the bridge, I see a lot of demon possessed people. They're addicted. They can't overcome their addictions. And the devil lives within those things. These are pleasures that hook you, and I will not let you go, he says, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You have some successful demons out there too. So he uses everybody.
Absolutely.
The thing is, you just have to know in your spirit and your soul what's right and what's wrong, and just be consistent and stick to it, and just focus on your goal. Take one that old gospel song. You take one step, he will do the rest. That's what you got to do. Keep putting one foot in front of it.
He'll take two.
He'll take two.
Hey, but listen, even the song is pretty much saying faith without works. I need you to take the step. I'll take the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you put the work in.
Yeah. You have to put the work in.
You definitely have to put the work in. You definitely have to put the work in. No doubt about that. But I just know that there are, this is a big world and there are a lot of people in it. And there are people who are seemingly blessed for no apparent reason. There are people who work hard their entire lives and don't achieve, their goals. That's just the reality of it. And I remember my bishop saying once, the illustrious Bishop Dale C. Bronner, he said, you know what? Sometimes bad things happen to people. There are three reasons. Sometimes it's because of what you've done to make it happen. Sometimes it's because of what you haven't done. And sometimes it's for no apparent reason at all. So, that's the reality. I think we have a lot of people in the world who aspire to do a lot of different things. And, whether the opportunity has presented itself, whether they didn't didn't believe enough or didn't believe right. Who knows? I don't know. But what I will say is this, and I say this not coming from a place of, judgment, or not coming from what I've seen other people's experiences in life. I come from a place of my own personal experience. I think that when you truly have your own personal relationship with God, it takes you from religion to becoming a spiritual person. And so I've seen what he's capable of doing. And quite frankly, he doesn't need anybody's permission or help to do what he does.
Mm-hmm.
So if he chooses to bless this one and we don't feel that they're deserving, and he chooses not to, bless this one and we feel that they are, it's not for me to question. And that's just my personal opinion. But I understand exactly where you're coming from as far as, you do have to put the work in. I mean, if there's something that you want, you have to really put the work in.
Yeah.
Faith without work certainly is dead.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Grady baby?
I want to say this. A lot of times, His will be done. Because a lot of times he can task you with something to do, and you don't do it. Next thing you know, somebody else 4 or 5 states away pick up and do it. You're like, you know what? I wanted to do that.
Yeah, because you're not the only one he blesses with good ideas.
Yeah. You got to when it comes to you have to react on it.
Yeah.
And you have to when you get tasked, you have to see it through, no matter what the struggles you go through, because it's a lesson. It's a blessing in the lesson. So what God's putting you through, preparing you for it's a lesson in that, but it's going to be a blessing for somebody else and for you too. So you just have to be consistent and be persistent to keep achieving that, because God, his will going to be done regardless if you do it or not.
Right, whether you do it or not. And that's just like we were talking about the talents that he gives you, when we talk about scripture, how he gave talents to 2 brothers, and one took his talent and really ran with it and became, victorious, and the other took his talent because he buried it. He was like, I don't want to lose this. I'm burying it. I'm not doing anything. And God was pleased with the one who did. So, but this is not a Bible lesson. This is talking about the devil's deceit. So let me ask you, Walter, who would you say that this book is for?
Everybody. It's one big Bible lesson. See, I took precaution when I wrote this book. I knew people would do the things that they're going to do and say this isn't right. I wrote strictly from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
There will be no debunking anything I say in that book.
But you do realize that the Bible is interpretation, right? So everybody
that's the thing. But that's the thing. That's the thing. And that's the thing where it's a lot of interpretation. I don't take it fully literal. I see that God has laws set. Fire burns. I've been burned twice. You jump off a building, that gravity is going to pull you to the ground. You're breaking God's law of gravity. And people feel like, I'd hate to think that people feel like they could jump off a building and they're just going to magically stop an inch from hitting it, walk away because they had that kind of faith. It does not work that way. It's a lot of opinionated things. When people have when they read it, they say this means that, this means that. What was the garden? We talk about that. It's completely opinionated. It's a fictional book. You have your personal relationship. And that's what I took with mine. I said, this is how I'm rolling right now. I feel like God has these laws in place that you can be what you want if you do this. You will die if you do that. You can't breathe in water. I follow these laws now. You have to, that temptation is always in me to say something back to people when they get on my nerves or something. And that's the devil working. Like, let's get that pride cranked up a little bit. You can't let them say this and say that. So biting your tongue is one of those things that's hard to do. So this book is for everybody, Christians, Muslims, Jewish people, anybody that wants to read and say, okay, I see his take on that. Maybe it's messed up. Maybe it's kind of close. It's all opinionated. It's a fictional book, but some people that have read it have actually said, you know, this actually made me open my eyes and ask a few questions about things, because I pretty much took a lot of stuff that I heard people saying and dropped it into the devil's mouth and let him say it. You know,
what do you mean by that?
A lot of questions that people have about Jesus, about how did we get here, about this and that. I let that go into the devil's mouth and use it to my advantage, so I could create a devil that nobody's seen. Things that he said.
I mean, but break that. I'm not following.
Okay,
what do you mean when you say that you put it in? Break that down for me. I'm trying to understand.
The devil comes in a character in my book. It's actually a flesh character. So the things that people have said to me and before, I let the devil express that in the book.
Okay,
so he can use that as his tool. You know, there's so many things that he goes over. Like I said, the part where he says he can go back to heaven. There's also a part where he says he was never a serpent, that the Bible says the serpent was cast to its belly. So he's like, if I was cast to my belly, why was I ever a snake? So he starts working these little small things to getting into the big things. But he also tells him a lot of truths about things, so he can get them to believe the lies as well. I got to give you so much truth in order to believe these lies. So the book is pretty much for everybody, because I think it's relatable to everybody. It's not specific to anything. It's just a character who wants to succeed in life. Things are going bad for him. And I think that everybody can relate to that. He's got a drug addicted girlfriend, a daughter that doesn't really like him. I mean, people can relate to these things, you know?
So do you see a volume 2 in the future?
There is a part 2.
There's a part 2? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when can we expect that to be released?
Next year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's the great deceit there. He mixed a little truth in with the lie. That's cool, right? I can dig that.
The devil is a pimp.
I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it. I was like, man, because how he finesses his way into your mental state, you know, to convince you that it rains from the ground up. You know, he have a way of saying stuff that you know is not true, but he's just so convincing.
But that's what he does. He's a liar. Mm-hmm. He's a master manipulator.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That is what he does. That is why he is here. He fills your head with, you know, all these lies about yourself and about other people, and eventually you start believing them, and it leads to all kind of mental health issues. And we have to believe that we are who, you know, God says that we are, that we will do what God says that we will do. We will be and become who God says that we will become. But a lot of times people get caught up, and I've been guilty myself. I don't know that anybody hasn't. You know, he gets you at your weakest moments, and he spews all these lies. He tells you all these lies about yourself, and he makes you beat up on yourself more than you have to. But the word of God says that in those who are in Christ, there is no condemnation. So sometimes it's hard for us to forgive ourselves for things that we've done. But God is not keeping us nailed to the cross. We're keeping ourselves nailed to the cross. He doesn't have a problem forgiving us. We have a problem forgiving ourselves and others. And I truly believe that. But let me ask you this, and we're going to get off this podcast. But where do you see in 5 years, where do you see yourself being, Mr. Martin?
An enterprise in Knoxville, Tennessee, employing hundreds, if not thousands of people.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so where can people get a copy of the book, and where can they follow you on social media?
Well, if they're local here in Knoxville, I always have tens and tens of books around in here at my house. But if they're not local, Amazon.com has the book as well.
Okay. So Amazon.com, people, you can find this book on Amazon.com. And where can they actually follow you if they want to follow you on social media?
Well, it's Facebook just by my name, and on Instagram, it's Walter Martin, the author.
Gotcha.
Can you hold the book up so the people can see?
Yeah, hold it up.
Boom.
This is it. Let me go ahead and get that shot so everybody can see it.
All right.
The Devil's Deceit by Walter.
Nice, you know.
The Devil's Deceit. So, you know, we want to admonish everyone who, you know, thinks that they may benefit from this or just likes a good read to go ahead and pick the book up. We certainly applaud you.
Yes,
Walter, you have certainly turned your life around. You've not done a 360, you've done a 180. You have turned your life around, and we're always happy to see that. We greatly applaud you,
yes.
for the accomplishments that you've made. I usually like to read comments, but we've only got a few minutes left. I do want to read a couple before I get off of the podcast, and then we're going to take this out. Let me see. Author Tisha Janae, and I hope I'm not butchering your name. If I am,
Hey, Tisha.
author, I certainly
It's one of my co-authors from Wake Up Winning. Also,
it is
one of my co-authors. Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
Tisha.
hey,
Tisha.
Tisha. She says the enemy can bless you as well, and she says that's right. Faith without works is dead. She says bad things often happen to good people, and these are certainly true statements that she's made. Sheila Massey says, "What God has for you,
Hey,
baby, you better believe it's
this
for
is for
you."
you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Let me see. Tisha says she would love to have this book in her library. So now you know where you can pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
She says he is a liar. He plays on your weaknesses so that we won't believe how much power we truly have. And I think that's where, we really sort of miss the mark. Like we forget when he starts talking to us and telling us these lies about ourselves. We forget, that the word of God does say that he gives us power to rule over any darkness, any dark spirits that encompass
It's funny. It's funny you said that.
So when you know what you're equipped with, when you know the power that you have to rule over demons, demonic spirits, evil spirits, you become empowered and less fearful.
Yes.
And so you're less tolerant of believing what he's whispering in your ear about yourself. But you have to know the power that God has equipped you with. Once you have that, it's like you're unstoppable.
They say that in the book. He says the devil actually tells him, "Don't be blaming me. I'm just a cheerleader for you. These are your thoughts. It's on you to control me." He tells him I'm glad you said that. The devil clearly comes out of his mouth and says, "You have to control me. I won't tempt you to rape anybody. That's not your thing. I'll tempt you to go get money and splurge and do this. I know you. I know your spirit. I'm going to tempt you where I'm going to get you because I know I can get you with that." So we don't all look at our parents the same. I got three siblings, and none of us see our dad the same. That's the same way with God. You have your personal relationship with him.
Sure.
I personally don't think God, who dropped fire from the sky, flooded the world, turned somebody into a pillar of salt, told a man to go kill his kid, is a soft God. So I don't talk soft with God. I don't beg him. I say, "Hey, man, I'm going to need this. This is where I'm trying to be in life. I need to channel the strength that you have already given me. It's already there. It's on me to discover it within myself. If I want to go accomplish something, I got to dig so deep within myself to find that." And that's what I consider to be God. He's in me already.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You are made in the image. You can do anything just about. And I believe that. That's why I'm here. I never gave up faith on that. I never stopped. That's why we're
and that's
here.
obvious. Yeah, that's obvious. You kept it moving. You kept it forward moving. And so let that be an inspiration to you guys out there. If you see yourself and you're in a bad position, or you feel like you're in a bad way, or you feel like you're downtrodden, or you feel like you're defeated, if you're at rock bottom, certainly take a look at this author, Walter Martin, and allow his personal experiences to propel you and to give you hope for the future. You can make it. You will make it as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other. I believe in you. We love you here at the Tisa Batey Show. And this is for all our viewers. We believe that you can do all things through him that strengthens you. So keep it moving, Keep it going forward. Thank you so much for being on the show. Billy Hamilton says that she actually read the book and she really, really enjoyed it. So plug, kudos, kudos, kudos. Thank you for being on the show with us, Walter.
Thank you, Billy, and thank y'all.
The best of God's blessings to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, viewers.
Hey, thank you, brother, for coming on. All right.
Stay tuned.
Just talk about it.
Great. Let me also say this. You can also, if you know someone who would benefit from these podcasts and they are not on Facebook, they can go to YouTube, Tisa Batey, the author, the coach, the life coach. They can also go to djgradybaby.com, which is a radio station that's heard all across the world. So you can see us, on other platforms. Tell somebody, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tisa Batey, the author, the life coach. Thank you, guys. Thanks, sweet babies. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you. Join us next week on the Tisa Batey Show.
Hey.
Now take us out, Grady.
No pressure.
Just dialogue on the Tisa Batey Show.
Let's just talk about it. No pressure, just dialogue
No pressure.
on the Tisa Batey